Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello and welcome to Marketing Management, a VUCA perspective. We are discussing core concepts, and now we have reached that point where we see actual application in real life. We've discussed segmentation, targeting, and we've also looked at positioning. But how does it get implemented by an actual tool in the market? We're going to understand those through certain case studies from very, very famous, capable tools which have been tried, tested, and their effects seen to be very, very powerful by the organizations that have used them. But prior to that, let's just quickly spend a moment hearing from one of the motivational speakers who also happens to be an MMA fighter, Paul Hughes. He says, a conceptual framework is a frame that works to put those concepts that you've learned, that you've spent your time, practicing out there at the training level, and helps them put them in practice. So we are going to use a framework which takes the concept and utilizes it to the hilt. This requires a certain amount of rigor, and the rigor we implement is the cornerstone to success. Any widely applied framework is dependable only because a lot of people have actually spent time, effort, and painstaking work to test it, and test it so hard that you find that every nook and cranny of it has been ironed out prior to us using it and learning it. So hence, we'll move to finding the fourth in the series of target audience definition and crafting the communication messaging series inside the whole course of module number 33. So we are talking about none other than the Unilever brand key model. Now, Unilever is one of the most phenomenal FMCG players the world across, and their brand planning tool is called the brand key, a very celebrated tool, and we are going to look at it from a very, very minute lensing to understand how it works. The Unilever brand key model, as it is known, is a powerful framework, and it has shaped branding strategies across industries because it has obviously moved on from just being a Unilever tool, and everybody who's in the strategic planning space, they have learned this tool to be able to think from it and further. So therefore, we'll explore the 9 critical elements that form this particular tool, and throughout this model, we'll understand how they work to create cohesive, compelling brand identities that actually resonate with customers. As we journey through each component, you will gain insight into how leading brands apply these principles and how you can leverage them for your own brand strategy development. By the end of this entire exercise, you'll have a thorough understanding of why this model remains one of the most influential frameworks in modern marketing at an applied level. So let's understand what the brand key framework is. So it is a strategic structure which features 9 interconnected elements. These interconnected elements are arranged in a distinctive keyhole shape, and the brand essence is really at the core. So once you solve the various parts of the puzzle, you arrive at the core, which is the brand key, and because it's a brand key, it helps you unlock the brand essence. So that is the premise. It is a systematic approach, and each element consecutively builds upon the others to create a comprehensive understanding of a brand's positioning, its communication strategy, and how it differentiates itself in the market. How you apply it practically, therefore, adopted by marketing professionals, it gives you a clear roadmap. It helps in establishing the brand identity and helps you consistently speak the same language across all the touch points. So the brand key serves both as a diagnostic tool for existing brands and a development framework for any new one you want to create. Its structured approach helps marketers navigate the complex landscape of brand building and ensures that essential elements work in harmony to create a distinctive brand presence. So, firstly, what the root strength of brand identity really means here is that it has a certain story behind it. Let's understand the story also. Historically, a brand's origin and founding story were important to understand its authentic character and original purpose, because how it was conceived and why people imagined it in a certain way was important to understand where it came from. And then there were certain key milestones along its entire evolution process, and those pivotal moments in the brand's journey have helped shape its current positioning and consumer perception, because it has grown to reach that particular point. The founding values are established at inception and continue to guide the brand's decision and direction, whereas the evolution timeline actually helps understand how the brand adapted to changing markets and maintained its core identity and relevance whilst it battled the odds. So therefore, root strength provides the historical context that grounds a brand in its own authenticity. For example, let's take Lifebuoy soap. Now, it was introduced in 1894 as an affordable hygiene solution, and it builds its current health focused positioning on the strong heritage of promoting cleanliness and public health. It was a carbolic soap to begin with. So, that is exactly where its tenets are: hardcore cleanliness. So, the root strength in action was from that 1894 origin. It was founded during a cholera epidemic and provided affordable hygiene solutions for the masses. It was part of a public health mission established in legacy as a defender against disease through proper hand washing, and this is where it has led to today. And globally, it has expanded, evolved from the UK origins to global health advocate while maintaining its core purpose of providing cleanliness and health. The modern events is very important because today's campaigns build directly on the 125 plus years of health advocacy heritage, which is at the core of what Lifebuoy promises to bring. Lifebuoy exemplifies how leveraging the root strength creates brand authenticity. The brand's contemporary Help a Child Reach 5 campaign, which was very predominant in India and various other parts of the world, because lack of proper hygiene is something which is the highest and most devastating reason for infant mortality. And so therefore, if a child generally reaches the age of 5, by then they have developed enough immunity and antibodies to be able to fight it out in the world. So therefore, it promotes hand washing in developing countries and directly connects to its original mission of preventing disease through hygiene. This demonstrates how historical values can effectively inform modern initiatives. Now, the next part which comes to the fore is the competitive environment analysis. So, here there are various parts to understand what is happening around it. The first and foremost we have discussed is market research, because systematic collection of data about competitors, products, pricing strategies and market positioning is important for a brand to understand exactly what the level playing field is all about. And once there, the next part to this is getting into a SWOT analysis, where you understand what strengths you have, you understand what weaknesses you have, you understand what opportunities you are posed with, and what threats may come your way. So, that is what SWOT analysis is, and it identifies the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats within the competitive landscape, and so therefore, it is able to fend off itself in its native environment. The third thing is to understand gaps. Gaps could be unfilled consumer needs that represent potential areas for brand differentiation, and beyond that there is a certain amount of consumer perception as well, because you need to understand how consumers view your brand relative to alternatives through sentiment analysis and surveys, again market research. So, environmental analysis actually is more or less research and analysis. So, that is where it stems from. A thorough competitive analysis reveals not just what competitors are doing, but where opportunities exist for a distinct position, and this strategic mapping helps identify unmet consumer needs and potential white space where brands can establish their leadership stance and the relevance that they sorely need. Now, personal care wise, there is a competitive landscape because if you look at various brands which come from the Unilever stable, you will see that there is Dove, there is Lux, there is Nivea, there is Olay, and they have each their primary positioning, their key differentiator and that intended target audience. Dove is about real beauty and self-esteem, and its key differentiator is 1/4 moisturizing cream formulation. It was so strong that Dove hammered this for 15 straight years, and now they sell anything based on that 1/4 moisturizing formulation, whether it be cream or otherwise, but that 1/4 moisturizing is a space which Dove has totally owned. Women seek natural beauty are the target audience for this particular brand, whereas for Lux, Lux is about luxury and indulgence. It rides on celebrity endorsements and it is for beauty conscious women. Nivea is family care and protection. It gives you scientific skincare authority and it is for practical family who want to give care to their family members. Olay is fighting against anti-aging, so therefore it has advanced formulation and it is for slightly older women who are concerned about aging showing up on their faces. So this is how the competitive landscape helps brands identify white spaces and opportunities for differentiation. In the personal care industry, successful brands like Dove have carved out unique positions by focusing on specific consumer needs that weren't being addressed by competitors, such as the psychological aspects of beauty rather than just the physical benefits. So then again, we go into target audience definition. Here we have discussed quite extensively how demographics are the first layer, then you've got the behavioral patterns followed by the psychographics where you have values, attitudes, interests and lifestyle factors. So effective targeting goes beyond basic demographics, understands the complete picture of your ideal consumer. We've talked about pen portraits also in the previous conversation. So this is an input for the larger framework, the brand key. So you have defined your target audience by going through the entire exercise and now you use that and plug it in here. So as you see, it will be all parts of the puzzle which in themselves are equally strong tasks to overcome. A lot of thinking is required to come up with the answers to each of these segmental problems, but once you do, you start piecing the entire larger puzzle together and you start seeing the way your brand starts shaping up. So now Dove's target audience has also evolved over the years. If you see, at the initial focus level, there were traditional beauty seekers and these were women aged 25 to 45 seeking effective health care with moisturizing benefits, and that was it. Thereafter, the campaign evolved to go into the real beauty champion space, and here they expanded to women feeling pressured by unrealistic beauty standards in society, and then it broadened to all women because this inclusive approach embraced women of all ages, sizes and ethnicities. Finally, the current targeting is self-esteem advocacy and women who value authenticity and want to pass this confidence to younger generations are the ones we are looking at when it comes to Dove's messaging. Dove's audience targeting demonstrates how a brand can evolve while its focus remains consistent on its core values. Its core value is beauty seeking, but the way that beauty is being sought is very, very closely linked to self-esteem, because beauty and the representation of a woman in the garb of beauty is extremely and supremely intertwined with their self-assessment and their esteem as well. So hence, recognizing this shifting cultural attitude about beauty and expanding its definition of the target consumer is important. That's how the brand has tracked its journey. Dove has remained relevant while deepening its emotional connection with an increasingly diverse audience of women who share its values around authentic beauty. Now, in terms of consumer insight beyond demographics, if you are able to track hidden motivations, then this is approximately the percentage of purchase decisions which are driven by emotions rather than just functional factors. So, about 2 times over. And so therefore, that is very, very important to understand emotions at the core of any decision making. Again, when you look at engagement, it is more than 3 times, where you see consumer engagement getting people to connect at deep psychological driver levels and come back and reward the brand for recognizing these. And in terms of loyalty, it is approximately 4 times more, so 78%. And consumers are more likely to remain loyal to brands that demonstrate the understanding of their underlying needs. So this is where all the insight mining really is going to lead us. So consumers' insights reveal the deeper why, and this is why we've been speaking of purposing. Purposing starts with why at the center, then the what, and finally the how. So the golden circles of Simon Sinek. While data can tell you what consumers are doing, insights actually help you understand the underlying motivations, the anxieties and the aspirations, which is why pen portraits become so important, because they allow you a moment to step into the world of the consumer, to understand what is it that drives them, what is it that makes them tick, what are their fears, desires, aspirations and their sadnesses. These psychological truths form the foundation of messaging and resonate at an emotional level, creating stronger connections between brands and their audiences, and this is extremely critical to understand. Beyond this, if you look at ACTS, which was driven obviously by insight, then the core insight was that young men desire confidence in social situations, and particularly when coming to attracting potential partners, because they feel out of sorts. Here, supporting research gave ethnographic studies revealing anxiety about being rejected and the desire for social acceptance, which drove them towards more and more grooming choices. The strategic direction in this case is ACTS becomes a tool for gaining the confidence rather than simply just being a very nice, fragrant product. And the campaign was therefore the ACTS effect, and it became a catalyst, and that dramatized the confidence outcome rather than just the product features of that particular cologne or talc or what have you. So therefore, ACTS's success demonstrates how profound consumer insights can transform a commodity product into a powerful brand. And understanding that young men's interest in fragrant products was fundamentally about confidence in social situations rather than the smell alone, ACTS created campaigns that connected with the emotional drivers behind the purchase decisions, making the brand culturally relevant. Now, what are the benefits therefore? If you have the insights, the product is there, the product itself has to cater to certain benefits which could be functional and which could be emotional. Now, when you have both kinds of benefits, you will have to look at the functional benefits, because as you remember, the human brain has two parts. It has left hemisphere and a right hemisphere. The left hemisphere is analytical and the right hemisphere is creative, which means that the left hemisphere looks for logic and the right hemisphere looks for emotion. Both are equally important. When it comes to decision making, we've seen that emotion does make a big impact, almost twice over. But the point here is logic also has its own space. So therefore, tangible, rational advantages provided by product features are the first parts which people consider. And then over time, what happens typically is, with more information, the emotion part of it starts to fall into place. So performance, efficacy, quality of ingredients, durability or longevity, convenience or ease of use, and finally the physical results of using. All of these factors will support the emotional gain. So whatever benefits are to be had from the physicality of the product, they drive the logic, and from that particular result of the good product that they have now received, the emotional benefits start to sprout. So you'll get confidence or self-esteem, you'll get status or prestige, you'll find belonging or acceptance, and you will also be secure and you will have peace of mind that you are well taken care of, and so therefore you can have pleasure and enjoy a moment. So the most powerful brands deliver a balanced combination of functional and emotional benefits. While functional benefits provide the rational justification for purchase, emotional benefits often drive preference and loyalty. So modern consumers increasingly demand both, and they want products that work effectively while also making them feel something positive. So successful benefit articulation connects product features directly to emotional outcomes, and this has become pretty much mainstay for brands nowadays. Now, Vaseline has a very clear benefit articulation example. Now, the functional part of it is protection and healing. Clinically, it is proven to create a protective barrier that locks in the moisture and supports the skin's natural recovery process. Typically, when chapped skin or chafed skin is there, during winters especially, or dry skin is there, it addresses the specific skin conditions like dryness and minor wounds. Now, the emotional part of it is security and comfort, which provides the peace of mind and confidence that skin health is being maintained. This offers a sense of care and nurturing that extends beyond physical benefits. Now, here if you see at the personal level, if you apply Vaseline lotion on your skin stays soft and supple even during winters, and if you have a child and you are applying Vaseline, then the chapped lips, etc., they tend to go away, and because of these things the child also feels comforted and you are also relieved that the child is now at ease. So all of these things are there, and to boot you've got the heritage reinforcement, about 140 years of use that has created an emotional connection, and this is rooted in generational recommendations and reliable performance in times of need. So it has had 140 years of time to prove that it really works. So Vaseline has demonstrated the linking of functional and emotional benefits, and while its marketing highlights specific skin protection capabilities, the brand's deeper appeal comes from the emotional comfort of knowing you are using a proven solution that generations have trusted, and the combination creates a value proposition that transcends the product's simple petroleum jelly formulation. Again, that leads us to values and personality. Now, specifically speaking, at the core, there are certain fundamental belief systems and principles that guide brand decisions and behaviors. So, if a brand is absolutely sure about its capability, it will say, I am authentic. It will always be on the move to keep coming up with the next best thing, hence, it has innovation. And it is about the world at large, and so therefore it will talk about sustainability. All these factors become core values which can be talked about by the brand. Then you've got certain brand behaviors. So how does the brand act across touch points and interactions? So if there is authenticity, if there is innovation, there is sustainability, at the service level, it can provide a customer service approach. So the customer gets taken care of. It also, because it has sustainability, naturally falls into the social responsibility space, and because it is innovative, it showcases its innovative patterns. Hence, it will also be represented in a certain way through the brand voice, which will have formal versus casual, serious versus playful, technical versus simple. This distinctive tone and language used in communications is a point of view which the brand has towards the world at large. The choices are made by the brand managers. Usually, once made, they are generally kept going for very long, foreseeable future. In terms of visual identity, it showcases the colors and typography, the imagery style, and the logo treatment, and this makes up for the visual expression of the brand, which therefore showcases the brand behaviors. Now, brand personality humanizes a company, making it relatable and distinctive. This anthropomorphization helps consumers and emotional connections by interacting with brands as they would with people. So it gives that particular brand a certain human-like persona, and based on perceived character traits and values alignment, it gets a certain character and mannerism which people then align with. Now this is represented in the messaging, in the visualizing, in the content of that particular brand. So well-defined personality ensures consistency across all touch points while differentiating from the competition. Now, Dove versus Axe, how are these contrasting personalities? Dove is about authenticity inclusivity, self-acceptance and empowerment, whereas in terms of values, acts as confidence, individuality, social success and attraction. Personality-wise, Dove is nurturing, supportive, honest and compassionate, and acts is bold, playful, irreverent and energetic. Voice-wise, Dove is warm, sincere, affirming, thoughtful, whereas acts is humorous, direct, provocative and youthful. In terms of an archetype, and this is from Carl Jung's archetypes. There is the caregiver, which is the archetype for the dove, which focuses on protecting, nurturing and helping others, whereas axe is the lover or jester hybrid, which has parts of lover and parts of jester and focuses more on enjoyment and connection with others. And so therefore, both brands belong to Unilever's personal care portfolio, but maintain strictly different personalities, and they appeal to their specific target audiences who have that kind of inherent need. So it's a need based positioning. Positioning follows the need, and obviously if there is an open space to create that kind of positioning. This is a deliberate contrast and demonstrates how personality functions as a strategic tool for portfolio differentiation. It allows a single company to authentically connect with diverse consumer segments through brands and feel genuinely different from one another, which brings us to reasons to believe. Now, RTBs are almost at the edge of where the IDA model decision making step is. Here, you will be moving from desire to action, and if you believed the brand, you will take up the next step, which is going to pay. Hence, clinical evidence, scientific studies, trials, tests, all of these are part of that particular journey, and these provide objective proof of functional benefits, gives you the complete sense of security from the left brain perspective. Then there is the testimonials bit, which are real user experiences and endorsements, and product effectiveness in actual usage situations. So hence, this is aimed more towards the right brain getting the emotional satisfaction. Again, personal stories create emotional connections, and this raw data cannot achieve because there is a lot of nuance within. Then, in terms of heritage and expertise, this helps you get the brand history, industry experience, specialized knowledge, credibility and trust. Again, a lot of left brain appeasement. And then certifications and awards, again these are left brain because they have third party validations and they are authorities that verify quality, ethics and performance claims. So external verification provides a very powerful independent confirmation, which therefore gives people a reason to buy. So in today's information rich environment, consumers demand verification before accepting any brand promise. So hence, effective RTBs combine rational evidence with emotional reinforcement to build credibility and connection. Now, Close-Up toothpaste has RTBs in practice. For example, it has an antibacterial formulation. It has patented fluoride and antibacterial agent combination, which is backed by lab testing and shows effectiveness against oral bacteria. They have a 12-hour protection claim. Clinical trials documenting suggest sustained freshness through measurement of volatile sulfur compounds over time, over 12 hours is what they claim. Then consumer research showcases independent blind tests showing 8 out of 10 users report fresher breath after 30 days of use, and expert endorsements like dental professionals and featured in marketing materials confirm that both breath freshness and cavity protection are happening because of Close-Up. Now, Close-Up effectively layers its RTB by combining scientific evidence with human experience. The brand balances technical proof like clinical trials with relatable testimonials using a comprehensive case for dual benefit claim of fresh breath and cavity protection. This multi-layered approach addresses both rational and emotional consumer needs for the verification. Then there is something called the discriminator. Now, this is a very unique piece in the brand key. It creates meaningful differentiation. Discrimination by definition means to stand apart, to be set apart. So hence, there is a functional uniqueness which is important. So, it has to have distinctive product features, ingredients, technologies that competitors cannot easily replicate, and provides the entry barrier into the space. Also, there is emotional differentiation. Brand personality, emotional territory wise, creates a distinctive appeal, and that is also something the competition cannot easily replicate. Then, category redefinition is also an interesting way to look at it, fundamentally changing how consumers perceive and engage with the product category itself. For example, the scent part being translated into the social acceptance part in the mindset of the male consumer for Axe is the category redefinition. And that is a moment where people have stopped thinking of the deodorant just as a nice smell on them, but more than that, they've started looking at it from a confidence building measure so that they are socially acceptable and they lower the chances of getting rejected because of body odor. So, in today's crowded marketplace, meaningful differentiation is increasingly challenging yet essential for brand success. The most effective discriminators combine functional uniqueness with emotional relevance, creating distinctions that matter to consumers. While functional differences can be copied, emotional territory can be owned more permanently when a brand establishes clear associations with specific feelings or values. Now, in terms of Knorr soups, which has flavor expertise as a differentiator, there is a chef collaboration which builds in a certain taste aspect because professional chefs coming in, not just food scientists. So, therefore, the quality and taste are both enhanced to a certain level. Beyond this, there is a global flavor authority, worldwide culinary research, which identifies authentic regional tastes. Then there is natural ingredients focus, which brings in commitment to real food ingredients versus artificial additives. And then finally, it moves towards culinary education, where the brand position is that of a teacher of cooking techniques and flavor recipes. Knorr has successfully managed to differentiate itself and created the competitive food seasoning category by claiming authentic flavor expertise from the differentiator. Rather than the competing primarily on convenience or price, like many competitors, Knorr elevates its brand strength through chef partnerships, culinary heritage, and education. This positioning creates a premium perception while delivering tangible benefits that resonate with home cooks, restaurant seeking quality results. So, why is the brand essence therefore at the heart of the brand identity? Here it is a singular core truth. It is the most fundamental expression of what a brand stands for. It is distilled to its purest form. Words wise, it is timeless because it remains consistent even as marketing campaigns, products, and visual identities evolve. Also, there is a huge emotional connect because it appeals to deeper human values and aspirations beyond functional benefits. And it also acts as a decision filter at the end of the day, because here it serves as the ultimate test for all brand activities and communications. So, whether it fits with the brand essence is the ultimate check which brands do. Now, the brand essence represents the soul of a brand. It is the central, timeless truth that defines its unique identity and value. Unlike positioning statements that may evolve with market conditions, a strong brand essence remains constant, serving as the North Star for all brand decisions. The most powerful brand essence connect functional attributes with deeper emotional and philosophical meaning. So, in the case of Unilever brands, let's look at certain essence examples. The brand Dove has the essence real beauty comes from within, and the key expression is the campaign for real beauty. In the case of Lifebuoy, there is championing a healthier world through hygiene, where it says help a child reach 5. In the case of Axe, It says attractiveness through confidence and freshness. It gives you the axe effect. And finally, Ben and Jerry's, where it is making the best ice cream in the most socially responsible way, where it is coming up as values-led sourcing initiatives. Now, this is how we can actually look at the brand model, brand key in action. So, if you have whole spread of all things, the consumer insight is the biggest component here, which drives everything else for the conversation. The next thing which is important is the discriminator, then the brand essence, then the values and personality, followed by the benefits, the reason to believe, and other elements, which is how the value of the items goes downward. The transformation Dove underwent from a functional soap brand to a global advocate for real beauty demonstrates how the brand key model can drive remarkable business results. By uncovering the powerful insight that only 4% women considered themselves beautiful, Dove identified a meaningful emotional territory that remained unaddressed. And because it was in the beauty category, this insight, combined with a clear discriminator and authentic brand essence, created a revolutionary approach that has sustained growth for over 15 years. Now, how do you take the brand key process, and at the end of the day, it is all about application. Good to know in theory, but then how do we go ahead and try and apply it? So, the first part is that of a discovery phase. You have to conduct research to understand the market context, consumer needs, and brand heritage. The second part is insight development, which has key consumer truths and motivations that the brand can address. The third part is strategic framework, which defines the target audience, benefits, values, and reasons to believe. The fourth being essence articulation, where all findings are distilled into a meaningful brand essence and discriminator. And finally, there is activation planning, where you develop communication and experience strategies based on the completed brand key. So, this is how typically the entire spiral works inward till you reach the point where there is activation and it is right there out there on the ground. Now, developing a brand key is a collaborative process and typically involves cross-functional teams including marketing, research, product development, and leadership. The most effective process combines rigorous consumer research with creative workshop sessions to transform data into meaningful strategic direction. Regular revision ensures the model remains relevant as market conditions evolve. So, what would be the research methods for brand key development? The first is quantitative research, where you use surveys and statistical analysis to identify patterns, measure brand perceptions, and then validate whatever hypotheses you made across larger populations. It is helpful if it provides numerical backing for strategic decisions, because strategy typically wants to keep everything neat and clean, whereas in terms of competitive analysis, systematic review of competitor positioning, messaging, and customer perceptions to identify market gaps and destination opportunities. The more robust brand key models were built on a function and foundation of diverse research methodologies. Now, again, you've got qualitative research, you've got quantitative research, both lend to it, and you also have at times looking back at brand archaeology, because there is historical review, especially if you have brands with legacy. The quantitative research provides statistical validity, quality approach showcases and uncovers emotional nuances. Combining multiple research streams creates a comprehensive understanding for both the market context and consumer psychology, which is essential for developing truly resonant brand positioning. Now, there are certain common pitfalls in brand key development which strategic planners, brand managers, etc. should steer clear of. Don't make the positioning too generic. Creating bland statements that could apply to any brand in the category, failing to establish meaningful differentiation. For example, quality products that consumers trust. It lacks specificity and it also lacks distinction. So, both ways it is not something that is going to work very quickly. Then there is the aspiration and reality gap. Here, developing a positioning that does not align with the actual product performance or organizational capabilities is actually creating authenticity problem when consumers experience the disconnect. Then there is internal focus where you emphasize company priorities rather than consumer needs. And then you have got complexity overload where you are trying to communicate too many benefits or ideas simultaneously, creating confusion rather than the clarity about what the brand truly stands for in consumers' minds. Strongest brand positions emerge from the intersection of what consumers value, what the brand can credibly deliver, and what distinguishes it from competitors. Avoiding these common pitfalls ensures the resulting strategy provides clear direction that can be consistently executed. Now, how to maintain consistency across touchpoints? Visual identity wise, if you use logos consistently, have the right colors, keep your typography up, and then the imagery that reflects the brand key elements will come out. Communications wise, if you have messaging that consistently expresses the brand essence and personality across all channels, then you've got your job done. In terms of the customer experience, if you've got service interactions and touch points designed to deliver on the brand promise, then again you will be in the right space to get it done. And finally, product development wise, you have to have innovations that reinforce core benefits and reasons to believe, which is the RTB. A brand key is only effective when it influences all aspects of how consumers experience the brand. This requires cross-functional alignment and governance systems that ensure consistency. The most powerful brands create detailed guidelines, regular review processes to maintain coherence across product development, marketing communications, retail environments, and customer service interactions. So, how do you measure the brand keys effectiveness? You put out something called a brand tracking study. We have seen enough brand health tracks. The brand health track regular quantitative research measuring key brand attributes like awareness, perception, and all these over time, maybe even quarterly. These longitudinal studies reveal how effectively the brand key is influencing consumer perceptions. Then there is sentiment analysis. So, in sentiment analysis, you monitor social media and review platforms to access spontaneous brand associations and emotional responses. This unstructured data provides authentic consumer feedback about brand positioning effectiveness. Then finally, there are behavioral metrics where you are trying to purchase patterns and local behaviors and willingness to recommend an indicator of brand strength. Here, these behavioral measures reveal how positioning translates to actual consumer actions. Effective brand measurement combines perceptual data, what consumers think, with behavioral data, what consumers do. The strongest measurement frameworks establish clear links between brand key elements and specific elements, allowing teams to diagnose which aspects of the positioning are working well and which may need refinement. So, let us again head back to the Lifebuoy example. When Lifebuoy's brand transformation was happening, its campaign touched about 80 million lives and children reached were through the hygiene education programs. The presence is now in 30 plus countries, and in terms of growth, you get about 9% growth where there is annual sales increase since repurposing, and you have repositioned the brand that way. Awareness also increases because there is fresh new news about the brand, and so that 25% growth is from emerging markets where there is new news as well. So, Lifebuoy transformed from an old-fashioned carbolic soap to a global healthcare advocate, and so therefore, this entire exercise of reconnecting with root strengths and updating them for contemporary relevance is by focusing on the core insight that parents in developing countries feared preventable diseases, and Lifebuoy created Help a Child to Reach 5 kind of initiative, and that campaign directly connected with the heritage in disease prevention with modern public health needs. This purpose driven approach not only delivered business growth but also created significant social impact. So, the evolution of the brand key model was from a traditional model from 1990s to the 2000s, but now contemporary adaptations have also come about. Here, it has been expanded for digital ecosystems. There is a much greater emphasis on purpose because, again, like we said, the insight is key and hence it starts with the why. The why is central, and that is why this leads to the purposing of the brand. And then there are interactive consumer engagements, more dynamic and adaptable measures and designed for rapid iteration, and that is how it has started implementation, which is taking place greater with purpose, cultural relevance and two-way consumer engagement. This model has become more dynamic with brands maintaining consistent essence while adapting expression for different channels and cultural contexts. So, what are the digital age adaptations to the brand key? In today's digital ecosystem, brand key implementation has evolved to accommodate new touch points and expectations. Modern applications emphasize two-way engagement, personalization and content that facilitates consumer co-creation. Brands now operate in an environment where consumers expect not just to have products but also interactive experiences and meaningful dialogue, requiring more flexible and responsive expressions of the core brand essence. Now, the role of purpose in modern brand keys is very, very critically important because brands, if they have to have significant impact which cuts across audience lines, then things like environmental impact, social contribution and transparency are things which affect a large swath of the population. So, brands integrate increasingly the sustainability components in core positioning, address consumer concerns, and they are saying about climate change and resource depletion in a very, very strong way. These environmental initiatives have become central to brand identity rather than just namesake or lip service peripheral CSR activities. In terms of social contribution also, purpose-driven brands define their value not just by what they sell but also how they improve society. And successful brand keys now incorporate specific social commitments that align with the brand's capabilities and consumer values. In terms of transparency, modern consumers demand visibility into business practices, requiring brands to build transparency into their positioning. This openness about sourcing, manufacturing and impact becomes a key differentiator in the purpose-led brand strategy space. So, most successful brands integrate social and environmental commitments directly into their core positioning instead of treating them separately as CSR initiatives. If you look at Ben & Jerry's ice cream as a purpose-driven brand key caselet, then you'll see RTB wise it has Fair Trade certification, B Corp status and part of activist campaigns. In terms of consumer benefits, it has a premium indulgence with social impact and values alignment. And in terms of brand essence, it is making the best ice cream in the world in the most social, responsible way. And this is key as the brand essence as well. So, when you see emerging brand key considerations, you will see cultural sensitivity. Brands increasingly need positioning that resonates across diverse markets and respects local culture. Data ethics, where consumer concerns about privacy need brands to incorporate responsible data practices into the positioning. AI integration, which is going to be the next big thing, and positioning must account for how artificial intelligence will shape the brand experiences. and the consumer interactions. In terms of a circular economy, brands increasingly need to address their protocol and product cycle impact and resource sustainability in their positioning. As consumer expectations and technological capabilities improve, the brand key model continues to adapt, and emerging considerations include positioning for voice interfaces, addressing concerns about algorithmic bias, and communicating commitments to circular economy principles. The most forward-thinking brands have already incorporated these elements in their strategic frameworks. Now, when you're implementing brand key workshops, you need to first start by preparing and conduct preliminary research, gather competitive intelligence, review existing brand performance, and prepare consumer insights. Then the workshop design sets in, where you've got clear objectives, you select cross-functional participants, you create engaging exercises and prepare facilitation materials. In terms of facilitation, you're looking at creating a collaborative guide, ensuring diverse perspectives, challenging conventional thinking, which leads you to creative extensions. Then you've got to build consensus on key elements and design it in such a way that you get documentation and activation as an outcome. So, you capture the workshop outcomes, refine the brand key components, develop implementation as a roadmap, and create the measurement framework. So, globally, the brand key implementation is, you can range it from fully localized, and you can have a flex mid version as well as a fully standardized, which is a absolute original version getting implemented. The most successful approach is the hybrid core plus local model, where the brand essence and fundamental positions remain consistent, but the expression adapts to local contexts. So, the balanced approach outperforms both fully standardized strategies and completely localized approaches. So, with all this, you have key takeaways about the brand key. You have a comprehensive framework here ready and tried and tested. It absolutely is consumer centered in its approach, and it looks at both emotional and functional benefits, addressing the entire conversion aspect of the IDA model. It has a very strong brand essence focus and looks at creating a sharp brand essence, and as it has more and more applications, because the IDA model and the brand key are only set to grow from here and be more and more widely utilized. So, with this, we come to the end of this conversation. We'll explore a couple more of brand management tools, and we'll look at them in the final leg of this mini series, where we look at target audience definition and crafting the communication messaging. Until next time, this is me signing off.
Hello, I am A.K. Sharma and I teach sociology in IIT Kanpur. I am going to discuss a question which is frequently posed to sociologists, and that is, what is the role of sociology in policy making? Now, so far in our country and also in the world, in World Bank, in UN organizations, in Population Council, planning is seen as something for which economists are particularly trained, and very few sociologists were found in planning process. Planning was given to statisticians and to economists. But now gradually planners and states are realizing that sociologists have a very important contribution to make to planning process. What can sociologists do to planning? Sociologists can pose problems. Sociology can identify which problems of society need priority or greater intervention. Like Indian society may be suffering from thousands of problems, but since solution of problem requires expenditure of resources in terms of time, money and manpower, all the problems cannot be solved or we cannot focus on all the problems. Do you know that our national health plan focuses only on 15% of the diseases from which people in India die? It is not possible to cover all 100% diseases in the program. Program means resources. So, sociologists can help us by talking to people, by doing field work, which problems need to be given greater attention. Then sociologists can also help in understanding various diets. Suppose you are trying to solve the why in India maternal mortality rate is high. Maternal mortality rate means deaths among women with childbirth is particularly high. Sociologists that this problem is not going to be solved with intervention. We have to look at things in what we call holistically, and we have as a patriarchal system. There is, in rural areas particularly, of a woman is very little. Patriarchy. So, if you do not care about, you will not take them to health center also. Transportation. There is a problem. People do not know the danger signs. People do not go to ASHA, go for ANC. People do not understand the danger signs. Danger signs which everybody should be able to know. The family becomes pregnant. Sociologists tell health interventions, you require other interventions, empowerment, power of women in decision making, nutrition. The sociologists can tell the planners all these. And one important role that sociologists can play is by involving monitoring and evaluation of development programs. Time to time government launches various programs for the benefit of you all have heard about Manrega, employment scheme or act as scheme, or we sociologists and tell to what extent goals are and what are the bottlenecks or in the future to improve and efficient. Effectiveness means reach, cost benefit ratio, effectiveness and efficiency of the program. And are there some specific groups, specific intervention is to be launched to make these programs, which can work in Delhi, may not work of Chhattisgarh. So, sociologists help the planners in evolving area specific approach to implementation of their development programs. These days an interesting branch of sociology called reflexive sociology can also help the planners in understanding if the methods that they are using to solve the existing problems, they are themselves going to create new kinds of problems in the future. Reflexive sociology is about understanding the ill consequences of interventions launched by the government or NGOs or by civil society in the interest of society. You know, something which we do for improvement or in the interest of society can also create problems. Bureaucracy, for example, created the problem of red tapeism, and health programs led to population crisis, urbanization led to alienation, and development produced the environmental problem. So, reflexive sociology can help you in anticipating if your solutions are going to create new problems and how to deal with them. Thank you.